Hello, well, welcome to Stitch 22. This is week 18 of the project, and this week I'm going to show you a any stitch, a whole range of stitches to stitch little applied fabric shapes onto a background. Now you can choose any bit of fabric you like, little snippets of favourite fabrics, or anything to hand which you think might make a little decorative applied piece of work. Now, as you can see, each one of these fabrics have been stitched down with a different stitch, which I'm sure you'll all recognise. We've done the herringbone here under the larger piece. Then we've got little detached chain around this smaller yellow piece, with them facing outwards on one edge and inwards on opposite edges. So just for fun. And this little bit of fabric here, just with a very, very simple running stitch, but all with threads in contrasting colours to celebrate the fact that they're decorative as well as functional stitches. Now I'd like to show you another little idea of cutting shapes specifically to make a little design. And the plan I've thought to introduce you to today, which probably isn't new to you, is to do a very, like your paper dollies, where you fold a piece of fabric and then cut a shape, then open out. I haven't made a dolly here, but I've made a little diamond shape. And of course I've got the two diamonds to play with as well. So I'm taking a piece of yellow fabric just as an example. This time I'm folding it diagonally just for fun, and this time I'm going to cut out almost a petal shape. I thought might be quite nice, or a leaf shape. So you've got this fabric and you've got this fabric shape, and of course we can put them down on a background, and it's really lovely to offset them if you have a fabric which is a see-through fabric, as I have here, like a piece of net. So you might like to see if you've got a fabric that does that effect for you as well. Now what I did was I've stitched down the two smaller shapes first and deliberately placed them so that now I'm stitching down the larger outside shapes, they are slightly offset, and you're getting quite lovely, interesting little shapes, negative shapes coming between to show off as part of the design. I've chosen to use a stitch here, which is a straight stitch at right angles to the cut edge. And maybe I'm the only person in the world to call it this stitch. I call it a scarecrow patch stitch, because it just looks so much like the way in all those children's drawings books the patch on the scarecrow's trousers was sewn on. Very obvious, simple statement of one applied shape onto another. Now, a different method entirely of applying shapes down is to run lots and lots of lines of stitches across the surface of your applied shape. And this final shape I'm piecing here, applying here, I'm decided to stitch this down with a strongly contrasting blue thread. And again, I quite like the contrast of the colouring, so it's showing up, and the fact this one is translucent and it's showing all the lovely stitching underneath as well. Now I'd like to introduce a little game to you which I thought might be fun, and that is to gather some little bits of fabric together. There's a few there. Now what I'd like you to do is to just almost closing your eyes, if you like, just pick one shape up with another shape, and then I want you to stitch down one shape onto another. Now this little formula I've given myself, you can make up a little formula to amuse yourself. I've decided not just to go round as a single line, but I've decided to go round several times. So this sample is going to have a multiple running stitch outline, and it builds up several little stitches, patches, double patches like this, which then we're going to put together. So we can play with them, put them together, put them like that, twist them around. And here I've started to do this, and I have completed a few of the patches together, and I've got three or four double patches together. And the way I'm stitching it down is a very different formula to the way I stitched the first set of journeys of the pairings were round and round running stitch. Now the little patches of over, I'm now stitching down the overlap of the two pairs so that there's they're anchored together. And for this stitch I've chosen to do a different stitch, and I'm doing a sort of satin stitch with like a raised layering. Again, you'll remember that in the past. So this little patch is growing up quite nicely, and maybe I can now add, I'll place it there. I could then place that like that, building up the colours, and then I've got, well, perhaps the right way around would be a good idea. And then I would do my anchoring patch of satin stitch there. Maybe another one on there, maybe that's just too much. So then this other one could be placed, I'll have to have a play around, perhaps it's over here, perhaps I'll put it there. So you can see that this is quite an interesting, like a serendipity, fun option to do there. And there's lots of other things that you can do where you build up layer upon layer, just throw your fabrics down, throw them down onto a surface. And then on this one, I've cut out a shape. Can you just about see? There's a rectangle with a curved shape cut out there and a curved shape cut out there. And what I'm doing now is putting this contrasting pink on top of the wonderful merging of lots of different strips of greeny pale colours as a stronger set. And I'm now attaching this down to the background to make it stand out as a design feature. And I'm using raised couching. So I put my long stitches across the shape to be stitched down. That's the bit of fabric which I'm newly attaching. And now I'm putting a contrasting stitch. Again, contrast is the essence here, so that you see things. You see the stitching, and it melds with the fabric rather than just merges into it and disappears. It has to be in my mind, it has to be a really lovely strong accent of a feature for the piece. Okay, and perhaps I could show you this one. Again, it's a little bit like picking up sticks, where you pick up a stick and it's and then you pick another and then you throw them down and make it like a serendipitous effect of little play sticks. Well, this is where it's been played with in terms of strips of fabric thrown down one at a time and stitched down. Another one added, stitched down, and these have got little blocks of satin stitch to secure them in the overlap. So I hope you'll have fun with applique, but it's decorative stitch applique. And I look forward to seeing you next week for a different stitch method. Bye bye.